talk for a moment about what the families are like that are receiving this benefit, and then I want to respond to a few things that have been said here. It's already been stated that this is a benefit to help children. In fact, a family, this is really only going to be provided to families who have children, and those children have lost the support of one or more of their parents due to circumstance, whether it's disability, it's a broken home, and for a quarter of the people involved in this, escaping domestic violence. These are young kids. They're very dependent on the parents' benefit, not just the children's part of the benefit, because they have to have a roof over their heads. They have to have a parent that can help them, can go get the groceries, can get to their job, because many of the people in this program are also working. But they're the working poor, and the average wage for working respondents was $8.36 in a survey in 2010. Kind of hard to raise a couple kids on that sort of pay. In fact, my wife and I are trying hard to fill in on some of the daycare and other things to help one of our daughters, both parents working, to make ends meet with one child. That's why I think that what was referred to as dumbing down does make this an attack on poor children and families. Because the real intent of this program, as was suggested, is to help the children. And misuse of funds is a problem. That needs to be corrected. But if the way you correct it is by taking away the benefit entirely, you're not using it for what it was intended. You're punishing the children for the failings of the parent. That doesn't make the program more effective. That doesn't deal with the integrity of a program meant to help young children and their families get by. Frankly, I think if first offense is a warning in education, to me that education means you sit down with them and you go through what they stand to lose, what their budget looks like, what they shouldn't be spending it on that they were already told, but why that's so darn important and what's at stake. Because if you're willing to consider the integrity of the program being maintained by simply cutting off people because their parents suffer with the same difficulties many of you do, stopping their smoking habit, their addiction to nicotine, that's all it would take. That doesn't help those kids get by. In fact, it means that we're going to have more trouble with a homeless family, with a family that has far less than what they need to be prepared for school, to do well in education, get out and have a decent future, and provide for their family. If you're worried about breaking the cycle for that 0.3% of people that are trying to use the system inappropriately, you fix it by teaching them better. You put them on the right track. If you're worried about the integrity of this program, you won't think that a first offense taking them off for a year, that loss of income for that parent is going to do that child any good, because frankly it's not. And a parent that's without that benefit for that year, well, I don't know what you're expecting to teach them about using public funds better, but I can tell you that they're going to be relying on every other form of support, just trying to keep a roof over their heads. So this is a matter of a war on the poor, because, well, there are lots of other people who break rules too. And if you're at the high end of the income in this country, you don't suffer these sorts of consequences. I still remember the day in the previous session when we passed a law to make it not illegal for somebody to withdraw from tree growth protection property that's fraudulently placed in that. So while we're talking about prohibited uses, it might be a good idea that you have some compassion for the poor people, for the young kids. The mean age of the kids in these families is 2 years old. They're not going to go out and look up for themselves. They're not going to go find work, not at 2 years old. You might think about how to get those parents who aren't perfect, none of us are, on the right path again instead. Thank you.